The message of Imam Hussain continues to echo throughout the ages. Equally, his loyal followers and servants continue to grow and pledge allegiance to the call of justice, sacrifice, and dignity for all of humanity. One such group of devout lovers of Imam Hussain was established in September 2000. The Al-Kawthar Islamic Association, located in Surrey, British Columbia, emerged with only a handful of members and has now multiplied into a vibrant community.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar.
You know, I met with immigration, and then the interpreter at that time, she said, I know somebody, he's Iraqi, and can you go to meet with him? So she took me to somebody, and I met two or three of them. At that time, we are only 4 people in Vancouver. Those the 3 and me with my family. So I stay with them, and after that, people start coming, you know, and become bigger community, or we start the community at that time, actually 35 years ago.
Now, when I came to Vancouver, I didn't know anybody except for my wife. Like she sponsored me to come to Canada, and for me, it's like kind of a travel into like a place that I didn't know anything about. So when I arrived, I was really stunned by the welcoming society. Like our community was so like I've seen so many people waiting for me in the airport, and they were welcoming me as if I've knew them like for decades.
My name is Hend Bashir Yunus. I have a master's degree in science in microbiology, and I was a lecturer in a medical school for 15 years. I'm now retired. And about my involvement in the Al-Kawthar Center, when I arrived here, the first thing, when I was introduced to the center, I established classes for Ahkam al-Tajweed, for Quran.
I think the numbers of the Al-Kawthar community have increased, and of course what makes them special and unique is they're able to provide the programming within their own cultural context and in their own languages, so that it's offering a very needed service to people from that background and that community.
We purchased a building, a small building in 1998, and we had our registration and form our papers in 1999, and during that we were able to renovate that small centers and separate to 2 floors, one for the ladies, one for the men's, and we added some side surfaces as a washrooms, more washrooms for that centers, to be able to get the people together and maintain our program for that in that center.
Born in the city of Karbala, Iraq, Abu Majid Al-Atar was among the first members to arrive in Canada in the year 1991 following Saddam's invasion of Kuwait.
أنا كنت مقدم على الهجرة لكندا بشهر 1 1988. الله يرحمه، واحد توفى، أبو مهدي حسيني كان ماخذ بيت صغير، سرداب صغير، الحريم عندهم غرفة فوق، واحنا كل اسبوع مرة نجتمع والمي ينقط على راسنا، 20 أو 25 واحد، إذا كثرنا 30 واحد. بينا عراقيين كم واحد، أفغان كم واحد، لبنانيين كم واحد، إيرانيين كم واحد، مسوين تجمع حسينية.
Muhammad Jawad Asad is a youth of the community who had a harrowing experience migrating to Canada when the boat he was on almost capsized in Indonesia
We got into a wrecked ship through this dealer, our family and some other families. And I remember we were going into this ship in a dark night. I remember I was actually wearing a very nice dress pants and just kind of excited to go out on it. I didn't know that it was going to be a mess. But I remember we were going through this river or whatever it was. I think it was a small lake to get onto a boat, and then that would take us to the ship that we were going to ride to Australia. And I remember the water got towards my chest, and I remember my dad, while he was holding my hand, he was carrying a bag of clothes on top of his head, and we were just walking to get to that boat. In a way, I saw, you could say, I saw death in my, in front of me. But alhamdulillah, everyone came out of it safely. But we were very close to basically sinking with that ship.
The children at Al-Kawthar are among the most important groups, if not the most important group the community focuses on. They are the future leaders and ambassadors who will represent the pristine values of Islam and the Ahlulbayt in Canada. Awla is an executive committee member and vice principal of Al-Mustafa Madrasa. She discusses the current challenges and aspirations of the students.
أنا نضال بدري علي عضوة في اللجنة التنفيذية في الكوثر and vice principal بالمصطفى سكول. احنا ندرس بالمدرسة 3 مواد اللي هي العربي والقرآن والإسلامية. والاكتيفيتيز عندنا بعض يعني الطلاب عندنا مثلا يلعبون رياضة، يكون بالصلاة الأسمبلي سور يكون عندنا، وسفرات مدرسية بالعلمية يعني تكون خارج المدرسة. أنا فخورة والله بيهم الطلاب، لأن هم من يعني متحدين الوضع ومصرين على أنه يجون يتعلمون العربي، وباعتبار العربي لغة الأم وكذلك لغة القرآن. هو فائدة المدرسة احنا من نعلمه عاداته وتقاليده ولغته، فراح ينطي يعني يكون هو بالمجتمع الكندي مثل ما نعتبره هو عنصر أساسي راح ينقل مبادئ الإسلامية إلى المجتمع الكندي بشكلها الصحيح يعني من خلال تعليمه بالمدرسة.
The vision of Al-Kawthar is to establish a community of devout Muslims who excel in academia and become valuable members of Canadian society. Sheikh Sabah Al-Ibadi is a resident scholar with a lofty plan for the current and future generations.
Here in Canada, what you're educated, this is your level in society. So I wish all the community will become educated and high level with the Islam and with the other education. So this is my wish. This is my. I try to achieve that project. How to make my people, my community, in the high level for educated, academy educated, and Islamic education.
I would like to see the community members to excel. I'd like them to be community leaders, politicians, that you can look after your own people and your neighbors and and improve the image of our culture, which sometimes gets damaged by others. So we really need to excel and tell people, look, we are normal people like anybody else. And I think we need some of the community members to be politicians, to be educators, to be more into science, university, and every profession. TV producers, programs, very important, people in industry, the TV industry, how to make good programs to improve our image and help spread the knowledge.
I had many lectures I gave. I gave lectures in parenting for both men and women, and after each lecture we had a discussion about the problems of kids at the schools, about the teenagers and about the parents with their problems with their children and how to fix these problems. And also I had a lecture about the violence against women. It was a research work I've done. And now I'm engaged in, through the Zoom because of the epidemic, in lectures about tafsir Quran or contemplation of Quran every 2 weeks through the Zoom.
I believe when our society and we succeed to build a new society, new community, a good community, and I think this is very benefit for the Canadian society, because Canadian society is different communities. So if you give this society a good community, a good people, educated people, and people believe with the God and they stay strong with that belief, and also they believe with the multicultural, to respect the others, I think we give this Canadian or this society a good gift. So we build a community, so this is a good thing, a good benefit we give to the Canadian people.
The youth today need good role models. They need guidance on how to be effective communicators, critical thinkers, and aspiring leaders. The Al-Kawthar community has nurtured such individuals.
I was basically raised by the Al-Kawthar community. I remember going to the center as a little kid. I remember a lot of warehouse hopping back in the day, especially during Muharram and other occasions where, you know, when the center would get so full, the kids would kind of get shuffled to the shoe area. And so we'd always have to find like a slightly larger warehouse during that time of year.
I'm a pilot for WestJet Airlines here in Canada. My earliest memories of being here and finding a community was at Al-Kawthar actually. And it was a great place for me to develop myself, my confidence, my identity as a Muslim man in Canada, in the West. And it's been quite a journey, obviously. And Al-Kawthar has grown a lot. I've grown a lot. And I attest a lot of my growth and a lot of my building up and my character to this community and to the people that have grown this community.
My earliest memories at Al-Kawthar Center would probably be when I was around 11 or 12 years old. I used to present about the Ahlulbayt and give speeches to the community members.
Well, you know, being a Muslim is so much more than just praying, wearing hijab and fasting. Being a Muslim, it comes with it the akhlaq. It comes with it being kind to your neighbor. I remember from a young age, my parents would always say, hey, if you smile at a stranger, that's sadaqah. So learning these values, you realize that they're actually very similar. Being an upright Canadian citizen goes hand in hand with being a practicing Muslim. They're not two different identities, they are one and the same. And so once you realize that religion is more than just, you know, praying, fasting, dressing a certain way, that it comes down to who you are as a human being, you'll realize that, you know, you don't have to feel like it's forced assimilation. You are just the best human you could be in this society.
What I've learned from Al-Kawthar Center is I've learned the importance of religion and how important it is staying close to your deen. I've made a lot of friends who I consider family now along the way. I have learned the importance of giving back to our community and what that looks like, and overall just staying true to ourselves.
A lot of our parents, they came here as refugees, as immigrants. They made the difficult choice of leaving home, of leaving their family, to make a long-term investment of raising their children where they know they will have right to practice their faith, where they know that they'll have the ability to succeed. And so I know that in living in Canada, I can fulfill my potential.
You know, I'm grateful that Canada has accepted us to come into this country and take the opportunities that comes with it. But as I you know, I was raised here and I went through this school system, I realized there's a lot of oppression going on within this country itself, looking at the indigenous people and how they're treated, and looking at the minorities and looking at the black people here in this country and what they went through just 70, 80 years ago, and how the residential schools were just closed just a few decades ago, and what they go through, and the news that recently has been coming out about the unmarked graves. We have to realize and realize what this country came from, and work with the people of the First Nations and the indigenous people of this land, and ensure that we are not part of the oppression. As the Ahlulbayt teaches us that, specifically Imam Hussain and his struggle that he went through to stand for the truth.
My aspirations for this community is that they're going to be active, their youth are going to be active and going to continue on in the admin of their centers. They're going to provide the programming, continue providing the programming that they do, and that they'll be creative in trying to present the Islamic teachings and their own cultural values in a way that will motivate their youngsters to continue attending and participating and feeling a part of that community within the wider Canadian society.
Women are pillars of the community who often get neglected. Their challenges are plenty, yet they are forbearing. One of the biggest hurdles they have to overcome is the lack of space at a community center in order to carry out their activities.
Currently, the center is the center where we are at right now. It used to be Al-Kawthar Center, but now it's sold to another community, but we're renting it from them. It's very small for the ladies. Right now, we don't have a place for the little kids. We don't have a place for the older girls. We don't have a proper place to have these programs for them. We can only have one program that's in Arabic, but the next generation is coming in. They prefer English, but because of the limitation of the place, we cannot have programs at the same time. We try sometimes during Ramadan or Muharram to take some of the little girls and have a little program with them somewhere, but we have no space for that. The same thing with the older girls. Sometimes we try to find do programs, and there are people who are willing to do that, but the space is very limiting in that we don't even have a proper kitchen to serve the food, to make tea, to cook, to do things like that. It's a very limiting in many of the functions that we need to do. Also, if we take it even further, when we moved here in the old days, I think our idea of the center was just to have a hall where we could sit down and have a lecture. But things have evolved over the years. Now the youth and the younger generation, they need a bigger place. They need a lot of more activities. They need engaging programs. They need discussions, debates. They need sports programs. They need even acting, theater. They need a lot of facilities that we are very limited in right now. We are limited. We had done plays before. Sister Muhammad has organized plays, written plays. They had played, my brother had played in some of these plays. But we have no place to do them right now. We are very limited in every resource.
The women in this society, is very. They have to be very strong, and they have to be very knowledgeable, because she when the lady, the moms, she's the responsibility to raise the kids. Here our husband, always they are very busy. That's why we have to take our kids to the Husseiniyya or Islamic Center or Mosque or any program, Islamic program, to keep them, to teach them the knowledge of Islam and knowledge of Ahlulbayt Salamullah alayhim.
On June 7th, 2021, 4 members of a Canadian Muslim family were run over by a pickup truck in an attack that was motivated by hate. Sadly, more incidents of anti-Muslim rhetoric and hate are showing up online, adding to the pain many in the community are feeling.
A Quebec City mosque attacked. can't imagine awful things like that happening in here.
The Prime Minister, the Premier call it terror. 2 gunmen opened fire, killing 6 and injuring 8 more.
There is this issue of Islamophobia that's been ramping up recently with the attack that was in London, with other attacks that have happened in the past. There's a lot of youth who are living in fear, who don't feel safe to be outside, who are now questioning, is it worth it being a Muslim? Can I safely be a Muslim in this country?
The way we look at it, recent situation, the sad situation, the terrorism act in London, right? Islamophobia. Islamophobia is a reality. We all got to understand that is a reality, and we as Canadians have to deal with it. Different orders of government and people have to come together to make sure that we are able to deal with the Islamophobia that the Muslim community is facing.
And because right now we also see there are, unfortunately, discrimination and hate going on in our society. There's been some horrific events that has taken place. And so through this process, in showcasing the strength and the beauty of the community, maybe we can dispel some of those fears and to fight against that discrimination and to really open up our hearts and minds to welcome each other, to embrace each other, and to know that humanity means we can all exist and respect each other and learn from each other.
But I think the biggest challenge we have is to ensure that our children grow up with the proper values. I think it's all the parents, it's the community's responsibility and the parents' responsibility to ensure that the Islamic values are inherent in our children as they grow up. And I think that's probably the biggest challenge that we face in the West. Unlike the East, where Islamic life is a day-to-day thing, I think we have to make an effort here to ensure that our children live the Islamic life in the West.
Despite the challenges related to Islamophobia, it is clear that the Al-Kawthar community is special. Members are united under the banner of the Ahlulbayt, and they not only support individuals who are from within the community, but they also provide much needed social services to the wider Muslim and non-Muslim population.
We have a very good relationship with another Canadian society, and we are widely open to build this relationship and to build these bridges. For example, we have usually we help the Surrey food banks. Also, in COVID-19, we were able to help the Surrey Memorial Hospitals. We were able to get, help the staff there as well, such as we create some food drive for them, for a whole entire staff in Surrey Memorial Hospitals. Also, we had blood donation drive as well. We brought the Red Cross actually and blood donation services to our center and donated in the day of Ashura, one of the program we did. Also, we help the orphans here in Canada, in BC. We have a program with the Zahra Center as well as Jenny Kwan MP from the NDP party here in Canada. We are able to raise $80,000 to help the orphans. That's 2 years ago. And it was very, very good program we had, and it's been covered everywhere here in BC.
When the Syrian refugees were coming to Canada, and, a lot of challenges for the newcomers, right? They didn't speak the language. We, Canadians, did not understand their culture. I reached out to Nouri and others from the Muslim community to have them help me in this process, to support the newcomers. They provide a translation. They help people find housing, to help them resettle, all on their own as volunteers, right? And many of the people who are contributing to the community now, they themselves were once upon a time a refugee. They are a shining light of what refugees can become and who they are. And so when Canada takes our action in humanitarian action, the return is in spades, not only in enriching our multicultural fabric of who we are as a society, but really in supporting the ongoing support of newcomers as they come into Canada. That's, to me, what the Muslim community has shown over the years, that ongoing development and that flourish, and most importantly, the heart and the hope and aspirations in their heart.
Al-Kawthar has actually, by creating that foundation for the newcomers to come in, they were able to establish themselves and grow up in here. And then maybe the first generation was not able to reach out, but they created that safety environment where they could feel safe and grow up and have their families in here. And then the second generation now, we have a lot of kids and youth that grew up to be pilots, engineers, doctors, dentists. We have people in all nurses, in all community, non-profit organizations, social workers, working at university, even professors. Alhamdulillah, it has created that safety environment while keeping their religious background, while practicing their religion, while wearing their hijab, and this all goes back to having these centers such as Al-Kawthar that creates that safe place where they can practice their faith, they can be strong in their faith, but yet integrate into the Canadian society and have that ability to grow up as Muslim leaders in the community.
Following the various challenges experienced by different segments of the community and to provide a safe haven for future generations, Al-Kawthar has now embarked on an ambitious project that is situated on a 1.1 acre size plot where members of all ages can call home. The project will primarily see the completion of the mosque and a multi-purpose hall. The mosque's prayer hall will hold around 300 worshippers, where the sisters will be able to pray with the brothers in congregation. The building will also include a library, office space, study rooms, a daycare center, and a funeral home to perform the final rites of a deceased.
The client came to me with a vision of creating a community center / mosque, and we developed that vision into a community center, a school of theology with child daycare and a mosque, with having the mosque being the main component. But also we included the college or the theology college to educate people. So there is a very strong educational component to the project, plus the fact that the design of this project brings a combination of Islamic architecture, Middle Eastern architecture with the Canadian, modern Canadian architecture. So it's a blend.
The new center, I would like it to be an umbrella to the community. One of the umbrellas, we have few umbrellas to the community, and then all the umbrellas, they unite under the love of Ahlulbayt, alhamdulillah. So I would like this community, this new center, to bring the community together, our youth, our kids, teach them, make program for them, and then be multilingual, not just one language, so that it can attract everyone from different countries, different backgrounds.
One of the unique features of the new Al-Kawthar Center is the building of a childcare facility. This will allow mothers to leave their children in a safe environment in line with their Islamic faith.
The childcare centers at Al-Kawthar, it will provide early learning programs which will help children grow emotionally, physically, intellectually, will open their creativity. It will help the mothers so that they can find the space within the Islamic environment, because we do have a lot of childcare centers in BC, but not very many of the faith-based centers, and of course they're very limited childcare spaces. So this will provide an opportunity for moms to leave their children where they're comfortable, where they trust the people that will be looking after their children. And the childcare facility is also designed very beautifully with a large outdoor space. All the facilities inside, including nap rooms, learning areas, child center, furniture, and bathrooms, of course.
daycare is so very essential to our society on the whole, both for the individual families. You know, I'm a big believer in early childhood development and having quality access to daycare and affordable daycare. It is absolutely essential. To me, it is also very significant for women as well. Very often, I'm a working mom myself, and I have to tell you, when my kids were little, trying to get daycare was so difficult. And in fact, for my second little guy, I couldn't actually get quality childcare. And that impacts you in a very significant way, impacts the child as well. And so I'm just so delighted that there are daycare centers incorporated into the center here. And to my understanding, in fact, partway through, originally, the center was only going to have one daycare, but then they expanded to having two. And to have daycare that houses children, younger children, babies, if you will, that is so significant. And to have those spaces is just absolutely tremendous.
Maintaining a Canadian identity and practicing the teachings of Imam Hussain are important values for members of the Al-Kawthar community. Imam Hussain represents hope. The story and tragedy of Al-Hussain inspire humanity at large, and therefore efforts must be made to preserve his remembrance and promote his mission.
We believe that Imam Hussain and Imam Ali and this school, they should the leader of the humanitarian. So that's what we believe. That we try to deliver that message. We follow that leaders. They are unique leaders. There is no any person in the world like them or similar like them. So we try to deliver a message for, it's not just for Canadian societies, for everyone, that we have a special leaders like Imam Hussain. He sacrificed himself for the justice, for the freedom. And I think if the people realize that message, so the people, they respect that.
عندما نجيبهم للحسينية يتعلقون بالإمام الحسين، بحب الإمام الحسين. هذه العلقة هي رسالة بينهم وبين الإمام الحسين. الإمام الحسين عليه أفضل الصلاة والسلام يعمل عمله، يأمرهم بالمعروف وينهيهم عن المنكر، خاصة في هذا المجتمع. هذا المجتمع احنا بحاجة إلى الإمام الحسين، بحاجة إليه حتى يدلنا على الطريق الصحيح.
When you are ready to sacrifice yourself for the good of the whole community and subsequently to the country, so it provides like a light to the generation, and Imam Hussain was the light for all generations ever since he was martyred. And you can see every year just that light doesn't fade. Actually, it gets better and better. People should learn from that story how to be faithful yet victorious, how to be faithful yet you can provide light for the end of this life.
I've talked to my non-Muslim friends about, you know, the tragedy of Karbala, and they would shed tears. They will feel that, you know, how can someone be so selfless, and how can someone go to such great lengths to fight for what he believes in? And it's very important that our youth, first of all, are proud of that identity, are proud to have that story. A lot of different communities, they have stories of valor and triumph, and they're very proud of it. We have the best story there is, and that's the story of Imam Hussain and his struggle through Karbala, and bringing along his entire family, and eventually saving our religion. And till today, we attribute that to Imam Hussain alayhi salam.
يتعلمون كيف يضمون أطفالهم في بيت واحد. التشتت الأسري يقضون عليه من الإمام الحسين. الإمام الحسين جمع عائلته كلهم في أضنك الظروف، ما فرط بواحد منهم. المجتمع الغربي يحتاج إلى الإمام الحسين حتى يعرف معنى التواصل الأسري، يعرف معنى الوشائج الأسرية، الترابط الأسري بين الأب والابن، بين الأب والبنت. يعني أنت تصور رقية صلوات الله عليها تمسح الدم من أبوها، تموت على رأسه. ايش قد العلقة كانت قوية، ايش قد العلقة كانت قوية. هو شلون معاملها اللي وصلها لهالطريقة؟ أب يوصل بنته إلى أن تموت بالأثر. ايش قد كان يحترمها ويحبها، ايش قد غامرها بالحب. هذا لازم نتعلم احنا والمجتمع الغربي، كل المجتمعات عليها أن تتعلم رسالة الحب من الإمام الحسين صلوات الله عليه. الحسين يعني كون، الحسين يعني خلق، الحسين يعني تربية، الحسين يعني أخلاق، الحسين يعني تضحية أسرية، اجتماعية، إنسانية. تحت أي عنوان تدرج تجد الحسين. سلام الله عليه.
Building a community for tomorrow is not easy. The new Al-Kawthar project is expected to cost 7.5 million Canadian dollars, including the cost of the land. The global Shia community now has an opportunity to rise to the challenge and respond faithfully.
The most challenging is getting the license from the city. I told it would take 2 years meeting with them, the engineering, ourselves, the community, meeting with the city, till we got the license. This is the most important challenge. For the Shia Muslim, there is only one mosque, which is for Al-Zahra Center, which is in Richmond. There is no other mosque. We have the Sunni brother Muslims, almost 4 or 5 mosques in Surrey, but we don't have any. So when the first time when we think about to build, everybody welcome that idea.
The Al-Kawthar project, it's an exciting project. It's great to see another mosque going up with a school, a child care center. I think it's something that's needed within the community.
Actually, I'm so much excited because it is a very big place. I cannot compare it with that place, especially masjid is so big. And also we are upstairs, but we can see the imam of the sheikh. We can see, we can follow. And I didn't imagine this place so big. It is very good. It's very good. I hope we can extend our activities here.
Religious freedom is key. Culture is key. The only nations that survive are the ones that keep their language, that keep their culture, that keep their religious values if they have.
لأنه احنا نريد مكان يحوينا، يحوي أبنائنا كمدرسة، كيوث، إلى آخره، يعني نسوي البرامج مالتنا بها، فالمكان ضروري جدا، يعني لذلك الناس تتبرع.
If you see Vancouver, it's almost one of the furthest point, actually it is the furthest point in Canada from Iraq, from Karbala. So to have this connection in spite of all those thousands of kilometers away, this is something that we all are proud of. And I always, when I used to be the president of the community, I used to tell them, you know what, if there's one thing that we all are proud of is that we carry the flag of Imam Hussain alayhi salam at this part of the world, which is so far away, to tell Imam Hussain alayhi salam, we did not forget you. We are still having you in our mind, in our heart. So this is something that all, we kept our faith and we kept our promise to Imam Hussain alayhi salam that we will carry his flag, that we will not forget him, that we will remember his teaching, that we will have his voice echoing in our heads.
We purchased the land, first of all, it cost us 1.4 million, the land itself. The building itself, it cost around 5 to 6 million. So altogether, going to be almost 7 7 to 8, maybe we'll go to 8, because sometimes a new detail you don't know, it comes suddenly, and you don't know how much it's going to be cost. So let's see. Altogether it's going to be, it cost around 8 million.
هذه لازم تنسد. أنا أوجه هالمناسبة ندائي لكل المحسنين بالعالم، بولاية بريتش كولومبيا، بولايات الكندية الأخرى، أوروبا، أمريكا، أفريقيا، للقارات الخمسة أوجه نداء بتسديد هذا المبلغ، بتسديد أقساط المورجج، للخدمات الحسينية، لتربية الأولاد، لتقديم الخدمات للناس اللي يحتاجون. يعني صدقة جارية تصير له من جميع النواحي.
Well, this building, for the most part, is supported by donations. With the exception of the childcare facility, there's no government money involved in that. This was an initiative from the community, and it is because people who care, right, for the community, but not just for the community, but in the multicultural society that they're contributing. So their contributions is so very significant. And because of that contributions, dreams can come true. And through those dreams, we can do the education, the outreach, and to build Canada as a multicultural society.
Donating to a place of worship, a place of prayer, a place where children will learn and engage with the community. I think there's no better place to put your money than the Al-Kawthar Center.
So people should donate to the new project because it's a long-term investment. It's a long-term investment in which you will be benefiting hundreds and hundreds of people in years to come. You will be providing a home to many people who have otherwise lost their home or who are disenfranchised. And you'll be giving the opportunity for young people to find themselves, to build their character, and to hone their skills so they could give back to society.
Why should people support the new project? Why wouldn't they support a project like this? This is an opportunity. When projects come up like this, it's an opportunity to be a part of it at the very foundation, so that, you know, years down the road, decades down the road, when you see where this community has got to, you can feel a sense of pride and say, you know what, I had something to do with this, and I'm sure would be a wonderful feeling.
ضامي من الزغر على فراقي المجاليس ما ينفعنا الصبر جمر بينا المواكبنا